Well, hello there, motherfuckers. Well, as you guys have seen, I've already done 2 videos on BVS. That stands for Batman versus Superman, or some people are calling it Batman v Superman. Just say versus. I find it funny as I, went to the movies. I said I went with some friends. You've actually heard, I think you might have even seen him in my Shadows of the Empire Let's Play. It was a little experimental video. I was experimenting with the Let's Play format. Kind of cheap, with my guerrilla style, filmography with my cell phone, just pretty much fucking filming the screen as my friends played. But one of my friends was Jonathan, and I'm gonna try to get him in a future video. Maybe we could do a movie or game review together. He is interested, so look for that in the future. But anyway, he turns to me during the movie and he whispers to me. He says, what happened to the verses? Why is it just a V? They couldn't afford a fucking S. And exactly, he couldn't be more correct in that statement. I mean, since when is V a viable abbreviation for verses? It's always VS. Ever since playing Street Fighter as a fucking kid, it's always been Ryu versus Chun-Li or Ken or Guile, whatever the fuck I was fighting. I don't, why? And the annoying thing is people are actually saying it this way. Batman v Superman. Stop! Just say versus. Yeah, I know it's their fault for putting the V there, but you're not supposed to say the V. You're supposed to say Batman versus Superman. I'm pretty sure just fuck it and just say BVS. Or say Dawn of Justice, for God's sakes. Stop saying that already. It sounds retarded. Batman v Superman. It sounds like the newest version of AOL or some shit. Enough already. Just, cut it out. But here's the thing. People are going fucking ape shit. This is the worst movie ever! And it's quite clearly not. In my opinion, it's an excellent film. And people were telling me I don't know what I'm talking about. Classic argument here on the internet. Disagree with somebody, don't have an argument to counter mine. You don't know what you're talking about. You're crazy. Exactly. Oh, whoa, ho, ho, ho. I've been beat. The argument, it's over. You've won. It's been finalized, stamp of approval, notarized, sent to the fucking government, the Bureau of I've lost the argument. For fuck's sake. I mean, I can't beat you guys, the movie doesn't have a plot. Explain to me how it doesn't have a plot. You don't know what you're talking about. Oh, whoa! I've been knocked through like fucking 30 walls here with that empowering statement. For fuck's sake, it's not that bad when you compare it to a lot of other movies. It's superior. And I'm talking about non-superhero films. It's just, I can't see anybody sitting down and saying the movie was that bad. I mean, I can't see it. So what I've done here, and I'm finally going to get to the point of this video 4 minutes in, is I've compiled a list of 10 movies. They're all superhero movies, both DC and Marvel, that have gotten higher ratings on Rotten Tomatoes than Batman versus Superman. Now, some of these movies have fewer reviews compiled for the overall average on Rotten Tomatoes. See, this is the thing. Rotten Tomatoes is sort of like a review site. They give a little summary of all the reviews, but mostly it's an overall average. They tally up, all the newspapers and blogs and all the popular ones anyway, and they do an overall average. So the overall average for positive to negative reviews, or however you want to say it, is 29%, which is only 2% more than the first Fantastic Four movie, and only 3% more than Green Lantern. There's a fucking problem with that. If you're gonna say that this movie is only a little bit better than Green Lantern and just a hair better than the first Fantastic Four movie, you're smoking fucking crack! So here we go in no particular order. We've got X-Men Last Stand, X-Men 3, X3. It goes by a variety of names and titles. This was the first X-Men movie and the only X-Men movie, thank the motherfucking Lord for that, that was directed by Rush Hour director Brett Ratner, which this guy has like ADD or some shit because he's a fucking horrible director. In my opinion anyway. Some people might say he's okay. But most people agree that X3 was not good. And it certainly was not as good as X2. Now, there's a variety of opinions about X2, X-Men United. But I personally love that movie. I don't fuck everybody. I mean, Days of Future Past put that movie to shame. But I haven't seen the movie in a while, but I'll still go back and watch it. I still love it. I love the style of the movie. I like the storyline. I just like it, okay? But X-Men United. This movie has a 58% rating on Rotten Tomatoes. And this is from like hundreds of reviews. So this one is, it is fair to compare a little bit more. This movie is not better than Batman versus Superman, all right? I mean, this movie was cheesy. It was dumb. I can't really say it was boring. There was some okay action. They killed off Cyclops, killed off Professor Xavier in just a fucking horrible fashion. Anticlimactic. And for this movie to supposedly wrap up the trilogy that Bryan Singer promisingly created, well, it really fucking just bombed. It didn't bomb at the box office, no sir, but from a critical standpoint, me, critiquing it, I didn't like it. And I thought it was dumb. And probably the only highlight for me was Juggernaut saying, "I'm the Juggernaut, bitch." That was the only, funny part. And really, I talked to people, and that's the only thing people remember about this movie. I mean, I remember the Phoenix. I mean, this movie should have been all about the Phoenix. If they were going to do Jean Grey, becoming Phoenix, it should have just been about that. Instead, Juggernaut, Magneto, throw all these characters together. It ends on the cliffhanger, and we never see what happens after that. It was just shit. And it has a 58%. This is just unbelievable. That they got to look back and kind of see some of these same critics probably reviewed Batman versus Superman as well, I'm pretty sure. I didn't look at all the individual reviews. But overall, the average is so much higher. And this is, Batman versus Superman. It's the worst ever, right? Okay. I believe you. Superman Returns. And I've talked about this in Man of Steel. My Man of Steel review from like 3 years ago. I got down on my hands and knees. And I thanked Zack Snyder for fucking saving Superman. Because Superman Returns was a gigantic fucking failure, the likes of which I never even thought was possible. Now, you kind of understand with Quest for Peace and Superman 3, the directing style and everything that went into it. You don't get the guy who directed a Hard Day's Night to direct Superman 3. It's kind of obvious. But you could kind of see that, like, during that time, they weren't all into making serious superhero movies. if they were made, they were making them campy. They didn't make them very, true to the comics. And you get what I'm. It's still no excuse to make a bad movie, but you knew what to expect. So when Superman Returns came out, and it was 2006, there was no fucking excuse for this movie to fucking suck. I mean, it had all the promise in the world to be a great movie. They got a guy that looked pretty much identical to Christopher Reeve. Well, not identical, but he pretty much looked like him. But the guy tried to do an impression of him, and it sucked. And Kevin Spacey sucked as Lex Luthor. You want to say that for Alexander Luthor, forget the name of the Jesse Eisenberg who played him. You're going to tell me that Kevin Spacey did a better job? Well, it's got a 76% on fucking Rotten Tomatoes. It's certified fresh, I believe. It's fresh like Subway, for fuck's sake. It ain't fresh, it's fucking stale. The movie sucks and they rated it high. This was one of the kinds of movies, I swear to God, and they always do this, a lot of the critics. They praised movies, and they've done this for a long time. They praise it, and then they'll go back and they'll pretend like they always hated the movie, even though they praised it, because popular opinion is Superman Returns gigantically fucking sucked, and his return fucking sucked, and there was no excuse for this. After a 30-year absence, from almost 30 years or something, 25 years from the silver screen, and 76% on Rotten Tomatoes. Are you telling me? Are you telling me Superman Returns is better than Batman versus Superman? Get the fuck out of here with the terrible performances, the shit ass plot. No fucking way. Rise of the Silver Surfer, Fantastic Four, Rise of the Silver Surfer, I guess you could call it Fantastic Four too if you want. I've never seen them introduce all these different characters with Silver Surfer and just fucking just ruin it. It was better. It was, quite a bit better actually than the first Fantastic Four movie. There was more going on, but the movie still sucked. It's like, say your dog takes a giant shit all over the fucking kitchen, and that's happened in the past. Real story, talking truth there. So, that's a pain in the ass. It's everywhere. It's, that's horrible. But say it's not as bad a week later, but he still shit all over the fucking floor. It's just a slightly smaller shit. It takes up less of your time. Well, I think this movie was actually longer, but you get my point. This movie has a 37%, so it ain't that much to brag about. But it's still better than Batman versus Superman. Daredevil. Yes, that Daredevil, not the amazing, epic Netflix Daredevil, but the 2003, and this is quite ironic, Ben Affleck did an amazing job as Batman, but he fucking sucked as Daredevil as Matthew Murdock in this 2003 fucking Hindenburg level disaster. 44%! Considerably higher, don't get me wrong, it's still rated rotten, but considerably higher than Batman vs. Superman, where Ben Affleck actually puts in a good performance. Daredevil wasn't worth a fucking damn. That movie sucked. It was a bomb. It was pretty much a how-to of not how to act as a superhero. And also a how-to of how to not make a superhero movie. I mean, years later on Netflix, they come out with a movie that has probably a much lower budget, to be quite honest, and it actually ends up being that much more epic. 44% compared to the 29% of Batman vs. Superman. Iron Man 3. So far, this one has the highest rating of anything I said so far in this video. 79%. Do you guys remember the plot to Iron Man 3? Unfortunately, I do. You want to talk about plot sucking? And there not even being a plot or barely having a plot? That was Iron Man 3! Iron Man 3 jumps around like a fucking frog. It's like 1 minute it's about the Mandarin, then it's not about the Mandarin. Instead, that guy who was the Mandarin ain't the Mandarin. And you know what? Suck my fucking cock. That's what I think about the Mandarin and them wasting Ben Kingsley, a legendary great actor, on such a shitty-ass inconsequential role. Not only that, but they waste 30 minutes of where Iron Man, Tony Stark, is dislocated. He meets up with some kid that's trying to help him get back to where he's supposed to be. And I'm like, what the fuck is this movie even about? It was 2.5 hours of just complete nothingness. It felt empty, soulless. It felt like, I praised the movie a little bit for its, comedic relief, but the plot was titanically fucking awful. It jumped around to 1,000 different things. At least Batman versus Superman is consistent. And I knew the message it was trying to send. Don't believe me? Watch my video. I explained the plot to you in clear fucking English, motherfuckers. 79% for Iron Man 3. Really? 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 It's 79%. It's certified fresh. These critics don't know what the fuck they're talking about. Batman Forever. Okay, so Rotten Tomatoes doesn't have as many reviews recorded for this one as others. But still, it's still on Rotten Tomatoes. It still counts, so, whatever. Use this one for fun. It's not fair. It's not as many. Well, I'm still going to say it anyway. 41% for Batman Forever. You want to hold Rotten Tomatoes in such high regard. Well, here you go. It's still official. It's still posted on there, despite it having less reviews. But people are going to whine, it's not fair! Well, it is fair to me. Well, you know what? All's fair in superhero movies and war or some shit like that. 41% for Batman Forever. Val Kilmer, in my opinion, was worse than George Clooney. And I'm not just saying that for the purpose of this video. He was terrible. He was horrible. He didn't even look the part for Bruce Wayne. George Clooney looked the part for Bruce Wayne. Val Kilmer, who I actually like as an actor, and he's in one of my favorite movies of all time, Heat, with Robert De Niro and Al Pacino. But guess what? He fucking sucked as Bruce Wayne, and this movie was directed by Joel Schumacher, who gave the shit out of this movie. He gave it up. It was fucking colorful and shit. And Batman, it was just horrible. And Jim Carrey should have been, great as the Riddler, but he just failed to impress. And Tommy Lee Jones was boring the shit out of me. The only person that did an okay job was Robin, Chris O'Donnell was the best thing the movie had going. But Rotten Tomatoes, this movie is superior to Batman versus Superman. The Dark Knight Rises. This is actually the movie that has the highest rating out of anything I put on this list out of all 10. Now, some people will say that Dark Knight Rises, this cap on the trilogy, is a great movie. And to that, I say you're a fucking idiot. Batman Begins, excellent. The Dark Knight, another excellent movie. The Dark Knight Rises, a piece of fucking shit that should have never happened. They take an awesome character like Bane and make him sound like an idiot. Oh, Batman, yeah, exactly. Sound like that. Sound like he was talking through a fucking paper towel tube, like the Pittsburgh Dad said in his video. Not going to steal anything from anybody. We'll give credit where credit's due. This movie was awful. It didn't even make any sense. Batman gets his back broken. They throw him down a fucking well prison. I don't even know how the fuck they got him there. They airlifted him down or some shit. Who are all these people? Why are they there? What are they fuck are they doing? I don't know. They never explained it. Some dude punches Batman in the back and he starts walking again. It's a miracle. Praise Jesus. I mean, damn, anybody who's got any serious injuries, just fucking punch the injury and you'll miraculously be better. You'll be healthy again. Got cancer? Punch that person in the face and he's better. There you go, motherfuckers. That's how you solve any type of health issue. No need for doctors. If you got fists, you got fucking medicine. There you go. You don't need chiropractors. You don't need orthopedics. You don't need physical therapists. If you got fists, maybe if we kick people in their broken bones, maybe they'll magically be healed. That's how it happened in the fucking movie. And this movie that shows us this great medical prowess. I mean, stuff that they can't even teach at NYU Langone Hospital. This fucking shit, we don't need that fucking expensive college medical school bullshit. Looking for a fucking MD? Nope. Dark Knight Rises, we got you. Fucking 87% on Rotten Tomatoes. You're telling me this piece of shit is better than Batman versus Superman? This dumb fucking movie that was retarded and barely even shows Batman? It's mostly just Bruce Wayne trying to climb up a fucking wall half the time. Ishi, fasa, fasa. I like that song, actually, so I'll stop right there. But this ain't better than Batman versus Superman. Age of Ultron. Oh, my goodness. Motherfuckers, what have I not said about Age of Ultron that I could say in this video that would be new and fresh? Because speaking of fresh, it is certified fresh with a 75 percentile rating. It's funny that you criticize the plot. Well, this movie is about Age of Ultron. It's about Ultron. It's the age of him. And, he's trying to take over, basically. And this movie just goes off the rails. Just all CGI to hell. The movie looks fake as shit. There's just a bunch of action scenes that are just all thrown together. They look like fucking ass. And nothing was memorable. Not a fucking single scene is memorable. People say, oh, the Hulkbuster. Yeah, okay, one scene there out of 2.5 hours. One fucking scene. That's about it. And you got Batman versus Superman that has multiple memorable scenes, that has great quality action, and keeps it interesting throughout. This one, nope. Nothing interesting about it. In fact, Ultron barely does shit in this fucking movie. He looks like a fucking pussy. He just stands there and lets a bunch of fucking Tony Stark suits do most of the fighting for him. What a fucking jip. This movie was a jip. If anybody should have ever got a refund for a movie, it should have been this one. They hyped it all up. It's going to be great, guys, and it ended up fucking sucking cock. It was horrible. I didn't like it at all. And, we're at Hawkeye's house down on the fucking farm. I'm throwing horseshoes and shit 1 minute. The fuck out of here. Who cares? And a bunch of characters that may or may not be Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver. These characters, they can't even call them by their names. You have to play a guessing game of who they are due to fucking copyright. They shouldn't have even included them then. What was their purpose in this fucking movie? Get them the fuck out of there. This movie was not good, despite what anybody says. It builds up for future movies. How about that a movie is now? So we have to have a bunch of shitty movies in order to get to, the movie that we want to see. I've said this 1,000 times. It's redundant. I ain't saying anymore. This movie is shit. Batman vs. Superman is a good movie. This is pathetic. Iron Man 2, 72%. Not as bad as Iron Man 3. Iron Man 2 is a lot better, but this still wasn't a good movie. The good Iron Man was the first Iron Man. Iron Man 2 was not that good. It was alright, disappointing. The villain Whiplash wasn't that great. It was long, just way too much dialogue and nothing really interesting. Some nice comedy from Robert Downey Jr., but he was even funny in 3, and that still sucked. Doesn't matter. It was still shit. I didn't like it, and you really think about it. Was this movie really deserving of 72%? A very positive rating right there. Most people giving it positive reviews. That's fucking horseshit. That's fucking horseshit. This movie was not that good. And I'm going to say this one last. Hulk. Yes, the one with Eric Bana. That movie. That actually didn't get that bad of a fucking overall average. 61%. It's the last thing I got on the list there at number 10. It wasn't a countdown or anything. The Hulk. 61%. This movie was 2.5 hours. It was long. It was boring. It was ridiculous at the end. I've never seen a movie move that slow or have such little Hulk in it. The movie was just, it was just happening and nothing was going on in it. I remember being so fucking bored of this movie in the theater. Everything was just a fucking disgrace. It didn't feel like Hulk. It just felt like a really long marathon of shit. I mean, basically, they should have just shown a fucking picture of bat guano for 2.5 hours, and that would have been more entertaining. Because at least you can look at the little things. Ooh, I wonder what that is. Do you think that maybe the bat ate a mouse? You can see what's going on in the pool. It was shit! All these movies are far, 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 hit the fan, worse than Batman versus Superman or Batman v Superman. Or V, you should use that finger instead, not the index. So there you go, motherfuckers. All 10 of these movies the critics are claiming is better than Batman versus Superman. Are you fucking insane? What were these critics? They must have been on some good shit while watching this movie. Are we watching the same fucking movie? I mean, how are they considering it to be that bad? When I've said in my review of how good it was. It was a good, interesting plot. The philosophy behind Superman. People are even saying that Ben Affleck gave us the most comic book-esque Batman and Bruce Wayne we have yet to see. So, how is this movie that bad again? I understand you didn't like that Doomsday died, but there was 30 minutes of them fighting Doomsday. 25 minutes or some shit like that. I know he didn't look as comic book accurate as people wanted him to, but then again, does anything look that comic book accurate? Does anything really look exactly like the comics? Deadpool, yes, but does anything else exactly look like? I mean, it was Doomsday. We should be happy we at least got it, and he was dominant for the whole fucking thing. They barely beat him, and he's probably gonna come back to life in the Justice League movie. For fuck's sake, people. I mean, I've seen people even criticize the score, which was also not bad. Actually, a couple of tracks I liked. And I hear Hans Zimmer is now retiring from superhero movies. Probably because he's sick of hearing all this negative bullshit. And Junkie XL, the guy did a great job too. He worked on the Mad Max Fury Road soundtrack, which is a marvelous soundtrack. It's great. Go listen to it. Now, I haven't really sat down and listened to this. I think it's on Spotify, but I will. It's a good fucking soundtrack from what I heard, at least from what I remember hearing. So it's not that bad. Just cut this shit out already. It ain't that bad compared to other superhero movies like the ones I just named and other movies out there. Is it really that bad? Is it really that bad? Fuck you, motherfuckers. Fuck.